bracket stuff, being the NCAA championships for basketball. I love these bracket style tournaments because you get to see matchups you never expected to really ever see. Because you don't see these kind of things unless it's usually like Ryder Cup or President's Cup or what. So, you know, look, history first. History lesson for everyone who doesn't know what the Wgc Dell Technologies match play, where it came from, what it was, etc. I remember watching it back years ago. I had to do a little research myself because I couldn't remember the name of it, what it used to be. It used to be the Wgc Accenture match play. Now, Accenture was the title sponsor. They are an audit firm, but nevertheless. The WGC Accenture match play, I remember watching that for years growing up. You know, the best, I remember the best in 2006 when Tiger, as noted, my favorite golfer, Tiger Woods, when he beat, I can't remember, I think it might have been Stephen Ames, 9 and 8, which basically 9 up with 8 holes to play, which was the shortest match, and the largest win margin in WGC history, which is pretty wild because that's 9 up with 8 to play. So through 11 holes, he won 9 of them. That's really good and quite wild actually. But then they transitioned from the Accenture match play to the Cadillac match play for 1 year. That was 2001 to 2013 for the Accenture match play. Cadillac match play had it in 2014, and then went to the Dell Technologies match play in Dell match play in 2015, and then Dell Technologies match play from 2016 and on. And when they went to the Dell Technologies match play, they moved it from, I think it was in Arizona at that point, yeah, in Tucson, Arizona, to Austin, Texas. Now, I'll say it makes sense to me why it's in Austin, Texas this year and last year, being virus years. There were quite a few fans there, and for those who don't know, Texas is a little more. I don't want to put it. I don't want to put it nicely. Lax on the protocols and standards when it comes to the virus. Noted, Florida and Texas are probably the most lax of all of them, where there's California, who is the complete opposite, where they're like, you know, you're not going anywhere, you're not breathing outside without a 50-layer mask, but that's nevertheless, we're not going into that today. So anyways, the Dell match play, so I did 2 brackets. I had a couple comments in my last video about how I was doing a bracket. So I started with doing a bracket for the first, for the whole thing, including the group play, which was really hard. Not gonna lie, the NCAA tournament bracket was easier. so of my bracket here, I was actually joking around with a few people. I got 2 right coming out of group play. I got 2 right out of 10. Out of 16 potential winners, I got 2 right. That's pretty pathetic. However, I think we can all agree that followed the event. We can all agree that we expected the likes of Justin Thomas, Bryson DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson. Who else did I miss? Maybe even Patrick Reed being a Ryder Cup veteran. Tony Finau being a really good golfer, especially of the last 4 or 5 years. I think we expected those players to play a little better, and they didn't. So, those were 5 of my blunders. I actually did pick quite a few guys who were actually in playoffs for those spots, so I guess that wasn't the worst. But nevertheless, let's go to the bracket that counted a little more. The one where I drew because I didn't want to print another one. So the second bracket I did was starting with the group play winners and then predicting the tournament from there. So the first one, the whole thing, and I picked 2 group play winners and picked them to last week that the Honda Classic was a major stinker. This one made up for it. This was actually really exciting, but I also think that was a style of tournament. You have a match play tournament, a higher pressure tournament with a huge purse, like freaking $14 million purse. I mean, it was huge, very big money. When you have that kind of event, it brings out the best in people, and I think it brings out the best in the tournament, not just the people. So we'll kind of go over this real quick. So there were some bigger wins that I didn't expect to see. Where you had, hold on 1 second. Sorry, it helps that I have my research up in front of me, because there's some names on here that I had. I put like nicknames on my little bracket I made, and I don't even remember their names, their full names, because I never heard of some of these people that made it through group play. I'll be completely honest. So needless to say, I didn't pick them to go very far. So I had Robert McIntyre versus Victor Perez. So I had McIntyre to win, and Perez dusted him. Sad day. I picked Sergio Garcia, especially after watching his hole-in-one on Friday to win the group play, which was pretty wild. I was sitting there eating dinner at the bar. No, I'm not a regular bar attendee, but I was sitting at a bar having a grilled chicken wrap with no dressing inside, boring as can be. Anyways, I was sitting there and I watched Sergio close out in sudden death against Lee Westwood with the hole-in-one, which is crazy. Him versus Mackenzie Hughes, and I picked Sergio to win, and Sergio won. Next one was Billy Horschel versus Kevin Streelman. Billy Horschel's been playing really well lately, so I picked him to win, and he did. Then there was Tommy Fleetwood versus Dylan Fratelli. Now, Dylan Fratelli is an interesting case because he is very hot and cold. He can hit the ball, he can spray the ball with the best of us, or he can shoot 8 under laser focused ball. So I was a little surprised to see him there, but then I really wasn't surprised because he picked a great tournament to play well. And I picked Fleetwood to win, and Fleetwood did win. Moving to the other side of the bracket, it was John Rahm versus Erik van Hooyen. And I apologize to any international people who I botched or they may think I'm making fun of. I'm not. I was just trying to do my best, so I apologize. Van Hooyen versus Rahm. I picked Rahm to win, and Rahm won. Next one was Ian Poulter versus Scotty Scheffler. I picked Scotty Scheffler to win. I really like Scotty Scheffler. Being 24 years old, he's really good. He's tall. He's got the perfect golfer build. Thin, tall. His appendages are really long, so he's got really long arms. The amount of speed he can generate through the ball is really large, so he hits the ball freaking forever. So Scotty Scheffler won. Next was Bubba Watson versus Brian Harman. Now, I didn't pick either of these two to make it out of group play. Who did Bubba Watson beat? The Patrick Reeds of the world. And who's the other one? Kevin Streelman. Sorry, Kevin Streelman. Oh no, this is Brian Harman. Excuse me, Brian Harman. He beat out Patrick Cantlay, Hideki Matsuyama, and Carlos Ortiz. So there's two others I would have picked before I picked Brian Harman, and Brian Harman's been playing really well lately. So I expect him to be playing really well at Harbortown in a few weeks. Because I think he has won there before. He plays really well there. Anyways, not to get too far advanced there, but Bubba Watson, Brian Harman, battle of the lefties. Two left-handed golfers in the same group. Who knew? I picked Bubba to win, and Brian Harman won. And then the last one was Jordan Spieth versus Matt Kuchar, in which I picked Jordan Spieth to win because he's been playing well lately, and he got beat by Matt Kuchar. Sad day, but I like Matt Kuchar. He's one of those guys who's not flashy. There's nothing flashy about him, and he has got one of the more goofy setups and swings, but he plays really well. So that's exciting. Okay, moving to the next one. So posted him 4 up with 3 to play. That's not good. So Perez has moved on. The next was Billy Horschel versus Tommy Fleetwood, in which I didn't have. Oh no, I did have this match. I predicted this match. Yes. So 2 guys still alive. In which I picked Billy Horschel to win, and Billy Horschel won. Next one was Scotty Scheffler versus John Rahm, which I predicted, and I'm not the largest John Rahm fan. I don't hate it. I don't now hate anybody, but I just don't. I don't love his game. I don't love his attitude. Ever since the One Players Championship, where he hit his second shot out of sand into the water and blamed his caddy, where it's audible that his caddy told him not to do it 12 times, and he still blamed his caddy for it. Like, get out of here. I don't like you anymore. I picked him to win because he tends to win the matches I don't want him to win. But Scotty Scheffler won. I did not pick that one correctly. And then the one, that portion of the bracket that I'm deader than 4 o'clock on, was Kuchar versus Harman. And Kuchar won 2-1. So that sets up the final 4 or semifinals with Kuchar, Kuchar versus Scheffler, and Horschel versus Perez. So the only person I had alive at this point was Billy Horschel. Horschel I had losing to Sergio in my bracket, so I didn't have him going any further. But Billy Horschel did win 3-2 over Victor Perez. And Scotty Scheffler won 1 up against Matt Kuchar, setting up a final of Billy Horschel, Scotty Scheffler, which was a pretty exciting final because Scheffler was 2 up early and ended up losing to Billy Horschel. Billy Horschel won 2 up with 1 to play. So it was a very well run tournament. It was a very well broadcasted tournament. I used to hate watching golf on NBC in the States. It was on NBC because I was never a huge Johnny Miller fan. I thought he was too silly and goofy and made some of these weird things. Like one time, it was the Bay Hill Invitational. Tiger was starting to come back against Scott O'Hare. Back in the day when Scott O'Hare was a decent golfer, especially by tour standards. He does me every day, but by tour standards. And he goes, that backswing should be illegal. What? So I was never a huge fan of it. Now it wasn't. It's not. Johnny Miller retired a few years ago, and it's actually become palatable again. I really like Johnny Miller's insight on golf, just not his witty, silly, goofy comments. So at the end of the day, let's zoom this in. I got 6 out of 14 possible predictions. I got 6 right. That includes the 3rd place consolation match, which was, who was it, Kuchar versus Perez. I had it as Rahm versus Horschel. I'm bad at this, but I really enjoyed it. It brings a new next level of, or you're cheering. You might not be cheering for someone you like, but you're cheering for, you're kind of cheering for progression within the tournament, not just who you like or who you want to do well or who you don't like. So I really enjoyed it. Next week is the Valero Texas Open, I believe. Next week is the Valero Texas Open. Next week is the Valero Texas Open, and I would be remiss without giving a big shout out to Joel Damon. Now, he played in the Corrales Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship at Corrales Golf Club in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic this weekend. And they were playing on the opposite side of the World Golf, same time, just normal, traditional tour event. Why do they do that? They do that because only the top 5, I suppose the top 50 in the world make the WGC events. I think there was some people even in the 60s of players in the world to make it this time because of injuries, cancellations, travel restrictions. You get it. Being as the top 50 in the world is not only on the PGA Tour, they come from all biggest tour in the world, and some of them don't play in it. Their choice. At the Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship, Joel Damon won. So therefore, I believe he gets into the Masters in 2 weeks. So it is the Valero Texas Open at TPC San Antonio next week, and it'll be another NBC event. Hoorah! I'm so happy about that. And then it's the Masters in Augusta, Georgia on April 8th, which I'm a huge Masters fan. I'll get into a whole nother episode. I might do an episode before the Masters, just on the Masters, because I love the Masters so much. So that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed this little ramble of me being happy about the WGC match play coming off of the stinker of stinkers, the Honda Championship. So you have a wonderful day. Stay tuned for more golf reporter reviews. I might do an intermittent video on just me playing golf, me being of golf. I actually played my first round this weekend, which was exciting. So I won't kill the spoils of that, but maybe